feel that we have to document this for the record, for our progeny.
That's cool with me.
And then after that, we're going to try out this new feature where we can drop a link into the Blab and we can play YouTube videos. So we're going to find a YouTube video for Expensify so that people who have not used it can find out what it is.
I can only imagine what YouTube videos are out there.
Yeah, so this will be interesting.
All right. So I'll kick us off. So welcome, everybody, to the App Show. My name is Will Lopez, founder of AdvisorFi.com. We're based out of South Florida. Co-hosting with me is Blake Oliver of BlakeOliver.com out of San Francisco. And graciously joining us is Matt Donaldson. He's the head of accounting and CPA partnerships at Expensify.com. Woo! That's right. Welcome to the show, Matt. And Matt, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule over there in beautiful California to blab with us today.
Happy to. Really excited.
We definitely appreciate it. So before we get started, or I guess to get us started, we're going to watch an Expensify video using this new Blab feature where we can drop a video into the Blab. So let's give this a try. All right. Let's see if this works.
Oh, this is a good one. All right.
I have one of those.
There you go.
Why aren't they burning their receipts?
I don't know if we could have got that approved internally here to burn something in a live video.
I like to impress my
Who's drinking
colleagues.
on the job?
Yeah.
we do love our beer here at Expensify, so I'm not surprised about that one.
Bunch of slackers.
This is actually a video we did for I'm not even sure if I can say their name, but the largest phone retailer in the world, part of a cool program with them. So this is something we did specifically for them.
There it is.
In other words, expense reports that don't suck.
Nice.
Well, that's it. So let's see. How do I get rid of this video now?
Let's see if I can try to get rid of it here. There we go.
There we go. So that was a little intro to Expensify for anyone who has not heard of it. I don't know how you could not have heard it. How could you not have heard of it by now?
Exactly.
I'm only on my first cup of coffee. Sorry, guys.
Blake, do you want to take like 30 seconds and explain how Blab works for those who are new?
Yes, thank you for joining us. If you're new to Blab, you can chat with us in the chat in the lower right of your screen. You can @mention people just like on Twitter. You can ask questions. If you want to ask a question, type /Q and then your question, and that'll put it into a special queue for us where we can answer your question if you have any. And you can put Matt on the spot.
Love it.
With your feature requests and complaints. So that's about it for Blab. Oh, and if you want to, if you feel so inclined, please do share Blab out on your Twitter. There's a little button in the upper left. You share the last 30 seconds. It'll actually create a clip of the last 30 seconds of the Blab and share that out, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Matt, Expensify. I mean, I know we don't have kind of an agenda besides, talking Expensify. I'd almost ask, what are you seeing that's absolutely, obviously you're the head of accounting, right? And CPA partnerships. What are you seeing that other pros or other CPAs are doing that just, along with Expensify, that's just kind of changing the industry as a whole, or what Expensify is kind of doing with them to change the industry as a whole?
We've actually been talking a lot about this around the office lately, and I think one of the coolest things we've seen lately is so like 2015, I would say was kind of the cloud year, where everybody's like, okay, I'm finally ready to put my accounting in the cloud. I'm ready to get off desktop on-premise solutions and go to your Xeros, your QBOs, your Intex, NetSuite, all that good stuff. And with that, they were kind of also at the same time like, okay, because I'm going to these cloud platforms, I should probably also look for some supporting apps that really make it a full platform. The biggest difference from 2015 to now 2016 and what we're seeing most recently is that there's a large trend for some of the more forward-thinking firms and accountants that, sure, they're looking at the apps that they should be using, but they're not just recommending them to their clients. They're saying, this is what you're going to use. They're not even making it a choice. They're saying, I'm based on your business, what your needs are, what you told me about your business and processes, you're going to go on Xero, Bill.com, Expensify, and Crunchboards or something like that for reporting.
Right.
And they don't even give them the option. They say, this is what you're going with. This is the package. If you want to work with me, this is it. And so that's probably one of the coolest trends that we've started to see lately and kind of what's changing the industry, if you will.
Nice. So nice, like rolling out a technology stack. Like this is what we're going to use. It's these 5 apps, top 5 apps, and Expensify is part of it, which is going to solve all your receipt problems. And, don't send me anything or else I'm going to charge you 5 times the amount.
Exactly. Exactly. It's basically they're becoming more proactive versus reactive. They're not saying, all right, well, now my client's doing the research and telling me that I want to use it. They're saying, no, we're going to know what's out there and tell our clients they have to use it. So it's kind of flipping everything on its head a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's, based on my experience, that's the way to go. When I was working for myself, I would take any client I could get and I would use whatever systems they had. And it was okay, I think, as an individual to be able to do that because I could, handle 20 different workflows, right? But then as soon as it got to the point where I was hiring employees and trying to teach them processes, if every client is different, you just can't scale up your business. And it's very, very difficult to hand off those clients to your staff. So absolutely critical to get the apps standardized. And along with that, the workflows for the clients too, right? I'm assuming that's part of it that goes with it.
Yep, absolutely. It's not just like you said, not just the apps, but also the workflows that go with it. We're going to roll this out, then we're rolling this out. This one works with this one.
Are you seeing more firms focusing on particular industries because of that? Since some of the apps go particular industries, right? Like Expensify works really, really well for consultants, in my experience. Like like IT firms. That have a lot of expenses with people traveling around. I mean, I'm curious to know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, those are the ones that are even more forward thinking than just the ones that are kind of putting together a stack that works in general. Now you've got firms that are like, you know what? I really know how to work with nonprofits. I've got that down. You can't surprise me with anything that you would say with a business that's a nonprofit or not for profit, and they're really boiling down what those apps should be for every single nonprofit. It's not hey, these are some ones we could use. These are the ones that every single nonprofit should use regardless. And so it's or like you said, professional services is one of my favorite examples. And they're putting them on things like, all right, we're going to do QBO, T-Sheets, Bill.com, and Expensify.
Yep.
And those are like the core apps that you need if you're in professional services, because you need to time track so you can invoice. You need to, capture all of your expenses so you can invoice. And then, of course, Bill.com, but, fits pretty much any business.
The
right?
ACH, the whole ACH processing. I mean, it's a killer app.
Yeah. I can't deny that.
Awesome. Now, are you guys going to be at Xerocon coming August?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think we'll definitely have a pretty large presence there. And then we're also going to, for the first time, be attending Xerocon South, as they're calling it now.
Where's that?
Brisbane. So Brisbane, down under Xerocon.
Got it.
Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that one. We just in February we're at Xerocon in London, and that one was pretty cool. It's actually really sweet to see that the folks in London, the cloud accountants there, are even more progressive than the ones here in the U.S., which is not. It was a little surprising, but it's pretty cool to see.
I feel that way. Have you, just looking at their websites, have you? Are they more proactive? Are they more forward thinking than in Australia?
We haven't really made a huge push in Australia yet. We haven't officially opened our office there, so I can't really compare the two. I'd say that from either market, when we talk to firms and accountants, they're always forward thinking from both. I don't know which one's more forward thinking, but they're definitely both on the forefront.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder why. I feel like in the UK, maybe it's because they tend to work with a lot of clients from all over Europe, right? And maybe that's why you have to move to cloud tools in order to work with them effectively.
Yep, I think it's we work with every accounting tool, and we're definitely agnostic here at Expensify, but we have to really give a big thank you to Xero for really making that market ready, letting them know that, hey, this is the way everything's going. If you're not on board, you're getting left behind. So big shout out to Xero for really paving the way there.
Oh yeah, well, and probably also a thank you to the established players who have moved even slower in the UK to get away from desktop, right?
Yep, exactly.
Sage, I think, took a long time. Or what did they use before Xero in the UK? I can't remember.
It's still predominantly Sage, and and Sage I think is just coming out with their response to Xero and QBO.
Yeah, they just showed up to the game like this year, or last year.
They're just showing up, and their offering is pretty cool. I don't know if you guys have seen their stack for. They're doing, I think it's Sage 1 for your sole props and entrepreneurs. Then you've got Sage Live for, I think it's 10 to, I think they say 300 employees is kind of how they're modeling it, just like they did with the old, Sage 50, Sage 300, Sage 1000. And then they've got Sage X3 is what they're calling it for the enterprise.
So I think they have another 20 different products as well. That's the one thing about Sage I've never been able to understand. There's like 20 different names for everything.
I can't keep up with it.
Yeah. I already look at too many numbers. So Sage 1, 50, 200, I'm already lost. So X3 Live, am I playing the Xbox? Like, I don't know what's going on.
Is this a Detroit car auto show?
Yeah.
Or is this accounting software?
I've actually not played with it at all. I'm actually kind of curious. But, here in the States, I love that my peers are absolutely so slow in picking up this cloud accounting movement. And, we did a show talking about how the cloud is boring. And, I'm loving that the peers are uber slow, that they're totally hesitant. It's going to allow players like us to just totally dominate the market between now and 5 years. And while they're showing up to the game absolutely late, there's going to be 2 firms out there that are just conquered all of it. And because of their slowness. So
I was just having lunch with Chris Hooper from Acodex yesterday because he happened to stop by in Los Angeles. And if you don't know who he is, he's got this very modern firm in Australia, and they're just, expanding like crazy. And one thing that he said that's frustrating for him, and I actually have to agree, I didn't think of this at the time, is that, we've been talking about the cloud for 4 years, 5 years now. At least I have. I've been reading about it, learning about it. And I think people on the cutting edge have been, right? I would say it's been about 5 years since the cloud became a real possibility. The apps got really good, enough to use and to move everyone over. And so that feels like a long time, right? But that's the cutting edge. And for the early majority, most of the early majority of adopters have not even gotten there yet, right? So maybe you've had 5% penetration really in the accounting industry at this point, maybe 10% at most. I doubt it.
Yep, we heard a stat on the UK, and it was only 6% of the entire UK, that area of the market has adopted the cloud. They're still the other, 94% are still on desktop products.
So, and Chris was saying it's going to take another, 10, 15 years before the next, 50% moves over. So we're going to be talking about this cloud stuff for 10, 15 years, and I'm already bored. And that's what Greg Kite was saying on our blab last, was it
2-3 weeks ago, probably.
Yeah, he was saying he's sick of talking about the cloud already. And here we are. We're going to have to be doing this for another 15 years. and I don't know what to do.
It's funny you say that. We're like I said, we're kind of in the final planning stages for Expensicon. It's about a month away now, and we're kind of just we have our speakers picked out, and we've gotten all our topics back. And one of them kind of came back with, let's talk about moving to the cloud. And we came back and we're like, hey, like we can't do this session again. Everybody at this conference is in the cloud already.
Get your head out of the clouds.
Let's pick something different. Definitely understand this is still a topic that plays most of the time, but let's change our focus a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, probably what we should do is come up with a terminology that is like more advanced than the cloud, and just use that term all the time. And then when somebody says, "Do you mean the cloud?" And we're like, "What's the cloud?" That was like 2 years ago or 5 years ago or something. Like
yeah,
that.
We need a new trend.
We need a new trend. We need to shame people, like Greg Kite said. We just need to shame other people about this cloud concept. Just stop using the word.
Yeah.
And then in 20 years we can bring it back, just like virtual reality came back.
Yeah.
So I mean, with Expensify, I mean, we just rolled a new client into it recently out of Colorado, and I mean, are you guys going to have any kind of revamps to the platform? Is there anything kind of like really fresh that's coming out soon that we can hear right here for the first time?
We're doing lots of stuff right now. Over the last year, you probably heard us talk a lot about what we call real-time expense reports. We dropped it in December, and it's kind of our go at eliminating the expense report, if you will. You can't ever eliminate the report. There's been some other apps that have tried, but you also have to think in context of expenses, and so you can't ever really get rid of the expense report. It's always going to be there. It's just how do we really automate it, the whole thing. And so that's what our go at it has been over the last year. And so that's the most recent release that we've done that's really cool. And really what it boils down to is I snap a picture of the receipt on my phone as the end user that needs to be reimbursed. And after that, I'm done. I don't do anything else. I haven't done an expense report personally for about a year now. It's pretty sweet. So that's where we're at right now. Some of the next steps are improving the app as a whole, both on the mobile side and on our web application around this real-time concept. So tools are in place. Now let's revamp it to really optimize that flow. And then we're doing some really cool stuff. And right now we have a beta for it. And it's kind of our first go at travel. We've never really done anything with travel. And we're not going to be doing anything with actually booking through our platform. What we're going to do is kind of check your bookings for you. And so we call it price to beat. And it's where, employee, you set some thresholds, right, as the administrator. You're like, I only want you staying at 3-star hotels, economy flights, and economy rental cars. You don't need to stay in a 5-star hotel. It's just you don't need to do that. Mm-hmm. And so you set your thresholds, and then your employees can go and book all their travel themselves, whether it's through a company tool or open booking, right? Because now we capture all of it, not just what's in the company tool. And what we'll do is kind of compare their bookings against the market rates, and then let everybody know how they did, both the employee and the administrator. And so there's kind of 3 things to it, where they either didn't even get close to the market rate and they're way over the rate, and so we'll flag that. We'll flag the ones that are right on top of the rate, like, hey, you're right where you should be, great, good for you. And the final part is, hey, you saved the company some money. And so those are the 3 flags. And then we're taking it even one step further than that. And we have a feature that we call rewards, which goes right kind of hand in hand with this price to beat feature, where for those employees that are saving the company money, the company can say, hey, I really want you to save me money. We're a small business, funds are tight. You really need to be saving us money. And so what I'm going to do is for every dollar that you save the company, I'm going to give you 50% of that dollar to encourage you to save me money. And so right within the platform, again, because we're already doing the reimbursements, you can set it up to give them a portion of those funds back. You're not limited to just 50%, but you can go in and say, I'm going to reward you for every single dollar that you save me as a company owner.
This is really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's been some other companies that have done some similar stuff, but they do it a little bit differently. But we're baking it right into the app. I love it personally. We've been using it internally here. Of course, you get to use everything first, which is sweet. I've been using it for a couple months now, and I just had to do a trip to Phoenix, Arizona recently. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna test this out. So I spent, maybe an extra 15 minutes looking at different routes that I could book, different hotels, things like that. And I ended up getting paid back about another $200 because I saved the company so much money. And so I was like, this is sweet. You mean I get paid? Actually get paid to go take this trip.
So one thing though, I'm anticipating.
I know exactly what you're going to say. Those are taxable wages. I'm way ahead of you, Blake.
Oh, no, not that. I was, although that's true. I was thinking that you're going to have, you're going to turn on this feature, right, where you split the savings with the employees, and you're going to have employees spending like entire work days taking like 5 layovers in order to get like a $50 ticket.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we definitely thought about that. There's limits. So like if you're doing a flight, we're only going to look at flights if they have like 1 layover, I think. That's right. Like if it's 2 layovers or more, we're not even going to look at it. We're going to say, great, good for you. You booked a trip. We're not going to give you anything back. You spend too much time looking at this, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's great because, just knowing from the times where I've been involved in the expense reporting accounting process for my clients, it's usually too late by the time the expense report happens for anyone to say anything because the flight's booked, right? It's like my employee upgraded himself to first class, but it's too late, right? There's nothing I can do.
So are you guys making that transition because of companies like Certify, who do that kind of like booking travel, expense tracking, stuff like that? Because I think, who is it, Certify and Concor? Mm-hmm. Those are the two that are doing actually travel and expenses.
Sure. So those are kind of some of the older, well, Certify is not really an older player. They're kind of similar to us, but they still take that really corporate Fortune 500 approach to travel and expense. And, obviously Concur's been doing this for years. They haven't changed their systems whatsoever in the last 20 years. It's the same thing tool it was 20 years ago. And we kind of looked at it about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, I think, is when we were like, all right, we got our expense down kind of, we're doing pretty well. We kind of know what we're doing. We obviously still room to improve. Maybe we should start thinking about travel because the whole market has been basically brainwashed by Concur to say that travel and expense have to go together. You have to have, an all-in-one tool. Otherwise, you're not doing it right, which isn't necessarily the case. Because even if you put a corporate travel tool in place, there's basically reports out there you can go find that say, even if you have a company tool, you're still going to have 50% leakage. So only 50% of the bookings go through that tool. So is it really worth it to spend, an extra, $20K to implement the travel tool, pay all of those booking fees? Because even if it's an online tool, you still pay like $6 a booking just for the booking. If you make a phone call and they book it for you, it's $30 a booking.
Right.
If you call them to change it, it's like $200 to do that. And so all that adds up, and that's just after it's been implemented. That doesn't even include the cost to put the tool in place. So this is kind of our way of saying, cool, you guys can really do the bookings if you want to. We're going to do it this way, and we think it's going to work better. And then we also, of course, still partner with all of the travel tools out there. There's some really cool ones like this new company out of New York called Next Travel. They are probably one of the more modern-looking company booking tools,
right?
And I love it personally. We use it, here at Expensify. I love it. Integrates with Expensify, and so it does everything that you would need from like a Concur or Certify, where booking Next Travel pops into my Expensify account automatically. And that actually that's another thing that we've been doing is how do we eliminate the receipt entirely? How do we just get rid of it? Having physical receipts is dumb.
Yeah.
And so that's something we've been doing a lot lately. And you might have seen it recently is with Uber now has an integration with Expensify.
Oh, I haven't tried that yet.
Yep. So if you're in Uber and you have, they released it a while back for like business profiles where you can have different profiles in your Uber app. Well, now you can connect that to your Expensify account so that anytime, you use like your business profile, you don't even get you don't have to forward the receipt to us anymore. We grab it automatically. So
that's great.
That's kind of our next go as well is like, all right, what tools can we just get stuff from automatically? Like Uber, Lyft will come soon, Hotel Tonight, companies like that, we can do these things with. It's like, how do we eliminate even one more step from there? How do we just grab all this information automatically?
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, what is a receipt? A receipt is just a summary of the transaction that just occurred. Like, I know that my Capital One generates almost like these little fictitious receipts. That is, you know, it says, hey, you spent money at Starbucks, and it throws like the Starbucks logo next to it and what I spent and, you know, the location I've been. I wonder if you can just connect a credit card to something like Expensify, where Expensify just pulls data from, you know, like Cap One, and then creates a fake receipt. And then you don't ever have to do anything like that. You know.
Yeah, and you guys do that for everything under $75, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's so we do that for everything that we pull from a bank, because it's you know, it's a verified transaction. It's coming from a bank. It's coming from a credit card, so we know that transaction is real. So we can with confidence say this is a good transaction, and we create what we call an e-receipt, which is acceptable, you know, for the IRS. They're like, yeah, it's under $75, whatever. You don't need an image. And so that's good for them, with the exception of like with lodging.
So this is kind of relevant given the release of Zero Tax Touch and the growth of QuickBooks Self-Employed, and what we're just talking about now with the e-receipts that Expensify generates. I've actually been thinking that it would be possible to use Expensify, if I'm a freelancer, to basically do all of my accounting. If I'm just a Schedule C, you know, filer, I could just connect all my bank accounts and credit cards into Expensify and categorize everything and have those e-receipts and run a report at the end of the year. And I've got all of my expenses right there. I mean, and that you could conceivably do that for free.
Yep, absolutely. That's actually so for everybody that doesn't know, Expensify is a freemium product. You know, you can go sign up for free today and never pay us a dime and get lots of you know, cool functionality out of the app. That's how we got our user base today. Is we're going to give it away for free. Right. And of course, you know, there's features that you'll need as your company grows. And so that's when you start paying us. But we have millions of users today that use us for free. And they're, you know, maybe 1099 workers, they're sole proprietors. They don't need a full blown system. And so they report their expenses, they report their income. We've got a mileage tracking feature, do everything that they need. And they just run a, you know, like an Excel export at the end of the year.
Yeah, and I think that's brilliant. And it's you know, you guys obviously don't talk about that much because your focus is on the paying customers, obviously. But I think that is something that is so cool, and it's something that a lot of people don't realize that you could. And it's important when you're a freelancer because you have to keep your costs down. And, you know, paying for software you don't need is, you know, never a great thing. And you know, and even if you need to upgrade, you can go to the like $5 a month plan. Yeah. And to get unlimited smart scans, right? That's so I think that's something I definitely want to talk about, you know, more with, because I do get these freelancers that, you know, do their own bookkeeping that ask me, you know, what can I use? And so I think Expensify should be right up there with Tax Touch and QB Self-Employed as an option. Yep.
And we kind of see, you know, QB Self-Employed and Zero Tax Touch coming out, and I of course play around with both of them because I love to see these new apps. Just like you, Blake, just like you, Will. You know, new app comes out, I have to try it out. So but and they're cool, but it's kind of like we've been doing this for a while.
And they're limited. They don't. What I really like about Expensify is that the interface is just so intuitive, and it's very easy to say select, you know, multiple transactions on this list. It works a lot like Excel. So it's very easy just to categorize transactions quickly. I don't have to go through some app on my phone. I can do it on the web if I want, you know. I really appreciate that attention to the good design.
And then I've been talking with Seth David about this a lot recently because he kind of brought it up. He's like, wait, Expensify can do everything that these, you know, Uber drivers and Postmates guys, all the
it can.
You know, it does everything that they need. And it's almost better than QuickBooks Self-Employed because they can share it with me.
Right.
Versus
they
like
can add you as a wingman, which is brilliant. Full access. You know, is that a paid feature? I think that you can do that for free. That's crazy.
You wingman for free.
Oh man. So Will, if you don't know about this, right?
I'm a great wingman, so you know,
wingman feature.
I'm excited about it already. So
yeah, that is really, really neat. I mean, I think it would be worth putting something together about using Expensify in that way.
Yep, I think we've talked about it a lot internally, and we've also there's always a discussion that'll pop up here and there, and we're like, all right, so we've got these couple million users that just use us for free. How do we get them to pay us some money? What can we do to get some dollars out of them? And
Right.
we got a couple ideas floating around, like, all right, maybe we could charge them for this, maybe we can charge them for this. And we haven't pulled the trigger yet because we're like, yeah, I wouldn't pay for that. So I don't think we're not going to do that to our users. We're not going to do anything until it really makes sense. Like until we have a feature for the individuals, it's like, whoa, I have to pay $5 a month for this. I have to do it. Then we're like,
and that's a problem with the TaxTouch. I mean, like, what is it, $4 or $5 a month? Like, I don't know if I would ever do something like that. Can you even buy an app on the market, on the iPhone market, that's charging you $5 a month? I mean, I've never seen that before. Downloading an app on your phone that they're recurring charging you.
Right. Most people just want to pay.
Just a one-time fee, charge it, pay $20 and then that's it. You own it for life. And then obviously, if it's Expensify, if it's free, I mean, people would just naturally gravitate towards that.
Yep.
Well, if I think of anything, I'll let you know.
That'd be great. We love suggestions. Blake has given me a number of suggestions, so we'd love to get new ones.
I think I have a feature named after myself internally there.
There's probably some. There's probably one in this.
No.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're sorry. Go ahead, Blake.
Oh no, it's I can't remember if I'm supposed to take us out or if you're doing it this time. But
no, go for it.
All right. Well, we're at our 30-minute mark, Matt. So we don't want to take up any more of your valuable time. We really appreciate you talking with us and with our viewers on the App Show, and we hope to have you back again sometime soon. Anytime you've got a new feature you want to talk about, we're happy to take a look and give you our feedback. This has been a lot of fun.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Right.
And if you want to subscribe, just follow us at the App Show HQ. Oh, I got that wrong. It's App Show HQ is our Twitter handle, and on Blab, you can subscribe and get notifications when we go live.
Yep. Sounds great.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Yep. Have a good